At the time of filming, I am worth tens of millions of pounds and currently own over a £20 million portfolio. But interestingly, what got me here and what made me successful is when I quit buying property. Give me a second to explain. If you were with me 10 years ago, you'd be sat at the back of a room, you know the one I'm talking about, the property ones, they've got 100 people, the price is just today, run to the back of the room, and they were selling me on the idea that you could quit your job and sail off into the sunset with just some buy-to-let properties. Little did I know how full of shit it really was. Very quickly, I ran to the back of the room, signed up for the course, and of course bought my first buy-to-let property. Now, it's not their fault, this part, but I got screwed over by the builder, lost a load of my money, they nicked my kitchen, installed it in their house, I ran out of money, and that was it for me. The stop of my buy-to-let journey until I actually realised I got a phone call from an estate agent. The estate agent called me, said, Jamie, we've got another property, blah, blah, blah. And for one reason or another, I was just hooked on negotiating the deal. I negotiated the deal, and really annoyingly, it was actually better than the buy-to-let that I bought. And I was down the pub, seriously down the pub with a friend at the time, and said, do you know, my dad buys properties in that area. And I was just sort of like, oh, I found this great deal, it's really annoying, it's not for me, I don't have the money. Long and short of it, I gave over the details, and his dad come to me with a brown envelope. And I was like, oh, wait, this is a bit weird. And he gave me £2,000. And I thought, fuck, what's this about? Like, what did I do right? And he said, listen, bring me more deals like that, and we can make more money. And I thought, this is something that I could do. I thought, basically, I'm an estate agent, but actually find them for these people that want to buy. Fast forward to today, in 2025, we did just over 10.8 million as a group. How did we do it? Something called deal packaging. So in the early days, it was just me and my business partner, Dan. We did everything, and I mean everything, from putting together investor packs, calling estate agents, viewing social media. I remember the first Facebook Live. Hi, Jamie. See, that's how bad I was. Don't even edit that, I was brilliant. So I'd be on there, it's Facebook Live, and I go, hi guys, Jamie here, I'm just going to talk to you about this, I'm just going to wait a few more minutes for people to go. It was a Facebook Live, most people aren't bloody watching it, but honestly, we were a disaster. We were driving around the properties ourselves, taking photos with our phone, which were bloody useless, running around trying to do 100 things at once, no systems, no real plan, just grit, hard work, right? The school of hard knocks. So you might think, bloody hell, that's a lot of work. Well, it worked out as we were doing about 15 hours a week. So it sounded like hard work, but it was because we were also in full-time jobs. So we did evenings and weekends, and I'm sure you can relate to that, right? Now, the upside of this, are you ready for this? We made £143,000 in our first year doing this. It was like, what? What even is it? Well, deal packaging, honestly, it's a glorified estate agent, if I'm completely honest. So there's opportunities out there, right? And you think that, well, if you want to invest in property, you go to an estate agent. Well, the problem with going to an estate agent is they are loyal to the vendor, the person selling the property, instead of you as an investor. They get paid by the vendor, not you as an investor. And so they have that product, and they are doing everything they can to sell that product to anyone. Hey, I'm interested in this. Is it a good area to invest there? Yes, it is. Of course I'm going to say yes, because I need to sell you that property, right? And that's really the key with it. So actually, most investors, you might not know this, don't go to Rightmove ever to buy a property. Why would they? They're not getting advice, they're just getting sold something. And actually, they're competing with everyone else in the world that can access the internet. All right. So as a deal packager, what we tend to do is, number one, we get paid by the investor up front, and I'll go through that in a second. You get paid up front, and you get criteria to work to, and then you go shopping for them. So think of yourself as a property personal shopper. And the great thing for the investor is that you're not financially motivated if they buy that property, that property, that property, or that property. You're just interested in them making an investment that fits their criteria. So number one, you work for them. Number two, you're deploying your time and knowledge of what makes a great investment and facilitating it for them. Ultimately, these are features. The outcome for them is they're able to build their property portfolio hands-free. And just so you know, I mentioned across my group of businesses, we did 10.8 million last year. Almost half of that was from deal packaging in one way, shape or form. So it really is scalable. Now, in your first year, you're not going to make anywhere, but we'd be going for 10 years, right? But you can hustle your way and work through this to your first 10K month. I promise you, you can do 100K. I don't care if you've got fuck all money, within reason, no time, within reason, you can do this. Now, I say within reason because you do need some money, a few £1,000s. You do need some time, minimum 10 hours a week. But if you got 3 grand in your bank or credit card, family, whatever, and you've got 10 hours a week, you can make 100,000 in your first year. So we started doing this. As I said, we got to like that 143 grand. Second year, we did 300 grand, by the way. But halfway through, we realized that we're going to need some support. We realized that if we didn't get systems, bringing in help, we were going to burn out. And if I'm honest, this is not a good moment to say this, but I actually fell asleep at work in many occasions. And if you're watching this and you work for me, never do that. All right. So we made a choice anyway. We stopped paying ourselves more. So we stopped paying ourselves. We cut it down. And at that time, I decided I'm going to go rent a room somewhere. I know if you're watching this and you've got kids and stuff like that, it's a little bit different. I promise you, every single one of you watching right now, you can reduce your standards just for a little bit for your long-term future. So I went to rent a room. And no, this was not the cool thing because I was a success. I was making 3-4K a month. I was a winner, right? And all of my friends that were in that circle were starting to lease these Audi R8s and looking really cool on Insta. And there's me in White Betty, my beaten up van that barely started. It was a Vauxhall Combo, and renting a room from somebody at £400 a month. So obviously this meant that I could reduce my outgoings, but it also meant it reduced how much I needed to get paid. And this was a really good decision because it meant that we could make our first hire, which is Katie, who's my PA and has been working with us for around 8.5 years. And it was really weird because our PA, who was like, she wouldn't mind me saying this, was the cheapest possible person that I could find. She was fresh out of uni, just a really hard worker. And she was still getting paid more than me and Dan, which wasn't hard because we were living on £1,000 a month. So she wasn't just there to answer emails. She helped create the space. And this is a true story. Not proud of this. On her first day, her first task was to put up her desk that was there in a box, and I forgot to get a chair. So we shared chairs for the first week when her second task was ordering a chair for her to sit on. I've got a bit better since then, but genuinely, she did everything. She was a sales assistant, she was admin assistant, she was marketing, it was everything, thinking, planning, strategy, and to act like a business owner, not just deal chasers. And that's really the pivot that it allowed us to do. It was this shift that mattered. I stopped thinking like a property investor and I started thinking like a business owner. And that decision has made me more money again and again and again. And it's given me freedom than every single investor I've ever met before. Now, I just want to be clear. Jamie, are you lying? Is it a misalignment? You said you've got a £20 million plus portfolio and yet you quit buying buy-to-lets. Well, let me link back to that. The way that you're sold sometimes on these glorified courses is that you make money by buying property. And it's like, that's not strictly true, but 90% of the world's wealth is in property. That is factually true, but did they make their money through property? No. Most millionaires in property made money in a skill, in a service-based skill, and then invested that money. So I'm all in on boring vanilla buy-to-lets. It was just a good hook at the beginning of this video, right, to get you to watch it. I still buy property. We buy 3 to 5 every single month, but it's my service-based businesses that build up that cash pot, namely my deal packaging business, and then I make my profits and I do it. And if you really want my model, I package 5 and use the money to buy the 6th. I package 5, use the money to buy the 6th. And this is the way I've been able to aggressively buy my portfolio, which, by the way, I've got mortgages on there, but I have no outside investors in that portfolio at all. and you can do the same. So I'm not knocking building your buy-to-let portfolio. Obviously, we do it for ourselves and others, but actually you need to ask yourself, are you in a job or profession right now that you can increase your skill level and earn that 100K a year to be building up, living on, and investing? And if the answer is yes, great. Honestly, don't do what I'm telling you to do. Double down on it, get fun from it and all of that. But if you're not one of those people, or you are and you hate it, by the way, maybe you should consider deal packaging. And the reason I love deal packaging is not only is it a great way to make money, you're indoctrinating yourself in the property world. You're surrounding yourself with vendors, agents, refurbs team, lawyers, solicitors, mortgage brokers, and of course investors that you might need to help from in order to scale your portfolio. So you're literally surrounding yourself with the best people out there. Your network is your net worth, remember, and you're doing it in a safe way whilst also earning a shit ton of money. And I did 143 in my first year, which was hard work. I'm not saying everyone's going to do that, right? But can you build a six-figure income in 12 months? Absolutely. I see it again and again. And if you're serious about this, I want to educate you how to do it, all right? I want to show you how to get the deal flow, how to negotiate the deals, how to get investor demand, and I want you to breathe in this, all right? So let me give you a breakdown, but before I do, this is for you if you really do want it. Yes, there's an investment in yourself. Yes, there's some compliance and marketing. I'll go through that in a second. But if you're willing to put your hand in your pocket and invest in yourself, and I'll say this line, if you're not willing to invest in yourself, then why would an investor? I'd love to have a call with you. And if you want to book in, we're currently doing them for free, a one-to-one strategy session. And you can do that by putting education below. I'll send you a link and you can book in a one-to-one. So do that now. Let me give you a breakdown of how I went from hustler to business owner. So let's make this real. Let's say you're starting from scratch, no team, no office. Maybe you're doing this part-time around your job. Step one is marketing. You need eyeballs. Now, assuming you've got your education, you're watching YouTube, you've invested in the course, whether that's mine or somebody else, that's fine. You now need to get the eyeballs. You could be the best deal packager out there in the world, but if nobody knows you exist, you won't make a penny. So I know this sounds crazy, £5 to £10 a day in digital marketing. £5 to £10 a day, ideally 10. Few Facebook ads. Maybe you start building a presence on LinkedIn. Maybe you build a simple landing page or website. All of which, by the way, can be done from the comfort of your own home, and you can build a landing page in about 60 minutes. You learn how to find the right deals. You use tools like Rightmove, Land Insight, Lendlaw, places like that, and you start building relationships. You go out viewings, negotiate, package deals, and offer to investors. Get your first 3 to 5 completed, and these are your learning curve deals. No matter how well I teach you on the EPTA program, which is my 12-week program helping people get their first one in, there's nothing that's going to beat practical implementation of this. There's going to be hiccups, expect some stress, but each deal gives you confidence and, more importantly, the credibility. Now, at this point, once you're getting into this flow, it's not about making that first 5K a month or even your first 10K month. It's about doing it every single month. So at this point, plus 6 months, you should be getting that regular 5 to 10K a month, which is not bad. But the problem is, it's all on you. If you stop, the business stops. You get ill, the business gets ill. You go on holiday, the company is on holiday. And so now is your first hire. And here's my recommendation. Number one, it does not need to be a full-time hire. It could be a couple of hours, contracting, etc. Number two, it doesn't need to be UK-based. So we've got team in South Africa. We've got team in the Philippines. It's a lot lower cost implication and really hard working individuals, which is amazing. And number three, outsource for your weakness. I outsourced to a PA as my first hire because I am shit with organization. I would argue I'm not too bad, but I'm sure my team would still giggle at it. But I was so much worse back then, but KD, being the absolute organizational Nazi that she is, keeps me in line and makes me a lot better. So now that your time is freed up to focus on not only what matters to you, but what you're actually good at. People say, focus on what you're bad until you get good at it. I call bullshit on that. I'm bad at it because I don't enjoy it. So I'm going to outsource the things I don't enjoy. I'm going to outsource the things that don't bring value to my life. And I'm going to outsource the things that actually bug me. So once I've then started this, you want to outsource sooner than you think. And you shouldn't really get your first full-time employee until you're making that consistent money of about 10K a month, which I know at the time of watching this, you might be going, that is absolutely crazy. I promise you, within 6 to 12 months, you're going to be doing that if you get educated properly, whether it's with me or somebody else, and you get the right guidance and mentoring, you're going to make that. It's kind of a given. So then what you do is you do the problem solution paradox. What does this mean? What it means is you solve a problem, it fixes a solution, but if you do that properly, it creates the next one. So you want to create internal training, documenting, processes, standardization of what you're doing. So it's not just surviving, it's scalable. And over time, you're going to repeat this process, hire slow, fire fast, based on revenue. Never overextend, but realize that you're hiring to outsource and buy back your time. Okay, now there's a lot there, and the reality is we're talking about maybe 6 to 12 months down the line, but the blueprint to building financial freedom through deal packaging, it's really important to get it right from the beginning and think about these things before you're there. The first thing you need to do is you need to understand that this isn't just a hustle. And I thought it was at the beginning, which is why I focused on it like that. But as soon as you realize this is a business, okay, and it doesn't matter, this is a service-based business, it needs the 4 things to function: marketing, sales, operations, and finance. Marketing brings the attention, sales and communication converts that attention into opportunity. The operations allow you to facilitate that opportunity, and finance makes sure you don't run it into the ground. You've got to keep the money pumping. So the first step is to learn those pillars. Where are your strengths? Where are your weaknesses? Double down on your investor relationships and the rest of your strengths, and outsource everything else. And the truth is, building a business, you realize you can outsource it all, but you need to start doubling down on your strengths, get an understanding before you outsource. Do yourself a favor, at worst today, click subscribe and the notification bell. I don't get anything, by the way, if you subscribe. The only person that benefits is you when the next money-making video comes out for you. So do that now. That's your worst case. Best case, I'm honestly going to make 1 or 2 suggestions. Unsubscribe or never watch my videos again, or book in a call. And I know that might sound crazy and a little bit binary, but you're either somebody that's wasting your time right now with the concept and the idea of becoming financially free, and you're a thinker, or you're a doer. You're somebody that's going to take action, and I want to help you on your next step there. So put education below if you're one of the action takers, and book in a free strategy session. Yes, I absolutely am going to sell you my program if I can help you. I really am, all right? But that's not the point of this. It's a one-to-one strategy session with me or the team to understand where you're at, where you want to get to, and give you some strategic advice that you can take away and implement. And hopefully we add so much value, you go, I actually want you to help me do this and execute upon it. So I really do hope that I'm pushing people away and attracting people in. If you're serious about making money, I do it pretty well. All right, and I've been doing it for a long time. If at worst case that's you, hit subscribe and the notification bell just so we can start building this relationship. But if you're ready to take that action, you genuinely want to start making money, put education in the comments, and every single one of you is going to get a unique link where you can click on it and book in a free one-to-one strategy session. Here's the final truth. If you want time, if you want freedom, if you want choices, you have to stop thinking and you need to start doing it. You are the only person in your way of success, so take the action. I hope that's been valuable. You know what to do. Hit subscribe and the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.